Welcome back to the Disturbed Chronicles. My name's Cams, and I'm glad you're here because today's video we're going to talk about Travis Alexander. Travis was a 30-year-old man that was tragically killed inside of his Arizona home by his ex-girlfriend Jodi Arias on June 4th, 2008. Now, Travis was originally from Riverside, California, and he had 7 siblings, a large family, but his father unfortunately died when Travis was about 8 years old. And him and his 7 siblings ended up living with their grandparents. And Travis had a troubled childhood, and he frequently got into fights, and eventually he did join a Mormon church trying to better himself and make a better life for himself. Travis did some stand-up comedy, and he was also a motivational speaker and an insurance salesman. Travis met Jodi in 2006 in Las Vegas at a business convention. The two had an instant connection and they became close friends, and Jodi even converted to Mormonism, and she was baptized at Travis's church by the Latter-day Saints in November of 2006. So not long after the two met, she was already making changes in her life to be with Travis or be closer to Travis. And in February of 2007, the couple started dating, and apparently they had a very toxic relationship. Things ended in June of 2007, but Jodi had already made plans to move to Arizona to be closer to Travis. Even though the two weren't together and Travis was seeing other women by this point, Jodi and him would still communicate with each other, and they had a sort of sexual relationship, kind of like friends with benefits, and a lot of Travis's friends had a negative view about Jodi. They stated that Jodi had a tumultuous behavior and they were worried for Travis. The two would argue about petty things, but they still had a strong sexual connection to each other. And Jodi found a place to live that was extremely close to Travis, and he actually didn't like that too much, considering he was seeing another woman at the time named Lisa. And Jodi would clean Travis's house for money since she was kind of struggling after just moving to that area, and he was trying to help her out. Travis apparently had a long relationship with a woman named Deanna before he had met Jodi, and Travis was said to have commitment issues. Travis would talk to Jodi about the women that he was interested in, and it's reported that Travis was a bit of a ladies' man. He was very flirtatious. This was kind of something that was just part of his personality. It is kind of easy to believe that he would continue a relationship with Jodi even though they weren't together. It was just a sexual relationship at this point. And some of Jodi's acquaintances would call her Deanna, and that made Jodi upset. She didn't like that very much. And Travis wanted to finally settle down and find a good woman to marry because he felt like he was running out of time. But because of him having this secret sexual relationship with Jodi, he couldn't hold a steady relationship with any other woman. And it is frowned upon in their religion to have sex outside of marriage. So that's a good reason of why he wanted to keep their relationship a secret, although many people around them still knew that they were together, even though they weren't actually together. Travis actually told several people that Jodi would just show up to his home in Arizona uninvited when he was there and when he wasn't there. It's reported that Travis would tell Jodi to leave, but she wouldn't listen to him. I think Jodi at that point was using their sexual relationship to stay in Travis's life, because that was maybe the only reason why he was continuing to even see Jodi at that point. One time while Travis was away on a trip, Jodi was at his house to watch a pet of his. And it's not clear if she was actually told by Travis that she could be there, but Jodi ran into another woman named Diane at Travis's house while she was watching this pet. And this woman reportedly was very upset to have run into Jodi because she knew about Jodi having a previous relationship with Travis. Jodi always just defends herself And she made it seem like she never overstepped any of Travis's boundaries, but that's clearly not the case here. And Travis told many friends that Jodi was basically stalking him at this point. And towards the end of 2007, it's reported that Jodi was extremely jealous and she even slashed Travis's tires twice. And now it's 2008, and after a year or so of such a toxic relationship, Travis decided that he was going to start dating with the intention to marry. And he even made a blog post about this on his personal blog. And Travis is seeing women that he really likes, and he actually meets a girl named Mimi, and he was even saying that this girl could be it for him. And Travis actually had a planned trip with friends in June of 2008 to go to Cancun. And he was planning on taking Mimi with him. But it's reported that Mimi couldn't see Travis as a husband, and a lot of that probably had to do with his previous relationships, especially his relationship with Jodi. So in June of 2008, Jodi is reportedly in California, and she decides that she wants to go on a road trip to Salt Lake City, Utah. Utah is a very beautiful place, and it's a great place to take a trip. Very scenic areas. Jodi rents a car, and it's Monday, June 2nd. Her timeline doesn't quite add up because Jodi said that she went to Santa Cruz, California first, and somehow she ends up in Arizona, and it's stated that she said she got lost. Jodi stated that she slept in her car for a while, and she eventually makes it to Utah on Thursday, June 5th. It's roughly about 11 hours from California to Utah, depending on your location. And between Monday and Thursday, June 2nd and June 5th, Jodi's exact whereabouts are unaccounted for. And she actually had her phone turned off after leaving Los Angeles. And it doesn't take that long to get to Utah, even if you pull over to sleep or you get lost. Her story didn't add up, which means that Jodi had almost 20 hours between the time of her leaving to her time of arriving at Utah that is completely unaccounted for. And Travis was found dead on Wednesday, June 4th, 2008, with 27 stab wounds to his body. He had his throat slit so deep that his head was almost decapitated. It was from ear to ear, and he even had a gunshot in his forehead. He was killed during a shower, and Travis's body was not found until 5 days later because some friends were worried they hadn't heard from Travis in several days, and that was very unusual. Travis actually missed a business conference call the evening of June 4th, 2008, and Jodi was at Travis's house that day. He died because he had a camera, and that camera was thrown into the washing machine and put through a washing cycle, but the police could still recover the photos. Some of these photos showed Travis and Jodi engaging in sexual activities on the same day because they're time stamped with the date as well, and Travis was killed the same day that these photos were taken on this camera of his. Jodi was fingerprinted, and she also gave some DNA samples on June 19th, 2008. And Jodi had the audacity to even show up at a memorial service for Travis in early July. Jodi was actually indicted on July 9th, which coincidentally was her 29th birthday. She was arrested in California on July 15th, and during Jodi's interview, she has clearly lied, stating that she never went to Travis's house on the day that he was murdered. Even though they have physical evidence, a lot of physical evidence that Jodi was there, and all of the evidence shows that Jodi is guilty of killing Travis. Several photos actually showed Travis being killed and his body being moved by Jodi, which is reported to be an accident to have taken these photos because she dropped the camera and it took a couple photos during that process.
One picture in particular which may seal Jodi Arias' fate. After she took those shots of Travis Alexander in the shower, she dropped the camera and inadvertently snapped a couple of photos. One shows her actually moving his bloody body. Police recovered those images from the memory card of this camera they found inside Alexander's washing machine. They believe Arias was literally trying to wash away the evidence. But like so much in this case, that too caught up with her.
Police even found Jodi's hair at the scene of Travis's murder. And they found a bloody palm print of hers. The hair that they found had a follicle on it, and because she said that the last time she had seen him was in April, they knew that was a lie because the follicle wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. And the rental company that Jodi rented that vehicle to take her road trip even said that Jodi drove over 28,000 miles, and it's less than 1,000 miles to get to Utah from California. They also reported to have found red stains inside of the vehicle, and the vehicle's floor mats were missing. Jodi still maintained her innocence after the interrogator basically tells her that he had all of the evidence that they needed to convict her for this crime. She was set on a $2 million bond, and her interrogation was in California, so she of course needed to be transferred to Arizona for trial. Selfishly, the entire time that Jodi was being interrogated, she kept talking about herself, about getting herself cleaned up before being transported. She also questioned why she needed to be handcuffed, stating that she was not violent. Although she brutally murdered Travis in such a horrific way, all Jodi talked about for a 2-hour interrogation was herself and where her stuff would be going. Never once did she show any remorse or even admit to being guilty. This is on July 15th, so it's been over a month since Travis was murdered. And during that 911 phone call that friends made after finding Travis, they even reported that the police should be looking at Jodi because they think that she was guilty. The detectives knew without a doubt that Jodi killed Travis, and many friends reported that Travis tried to cut all ties off with Jodi, and she would threaten to take her own life because of it. And in September of 2008, Jodi is still maintaining her innocence, claiming that 2 intruders broke into Travis's home and attacked him. This is obviously a lie and a huge lack of accountability, and you're actually going to see Jodi change up her stories several times. And in October of 2008, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office filed a notice to seek the death penalty for Jodi. And they stated that Jodi committed first-degree murder and that it was such a cruel, heinous, and depraved manner. But in June of 2009, Jodi still portrays the idea that intruders broke into Travis's home and that they were the ones responsible. Jodi said that she was spared by these intruders, but they were armed with a gun and a knife. She said she never called the police because she was just terrified, and she tried to convince herself that it actually didn't happen. She did spend a few years in prison waiting on her trial, and in 2011, Jodi's sister actually stated that Jodi was a victim of domestic violence. She stated that she was fighting for her life and that Jodi was innocent. Jodi's trial began January 2nd, 2013. And this was a very lengthy trial. Jodi's defense argued that Jodi shouldn't face the death penalty because it was not a premeditated murder. She was claiming self-defense, and she still maintained her innocence. The opening argument of the prosecution stated that Travis could have received a final death blow. Instead, he was violently attacked. He was stabbed in his heart, his throat was slit from ear to ear, and he was shot in the face. He was stabbed 9 times in his back, 27 stab wounds in all. It stated that Travis had defensive wounds on his hands.
He told the jury that some of the wounds were defensive, that he was fighting for his life.
If you have injuries to the backs of the forearms or to the palms or backs of the hands, it's consistent with someone trying to either grab the knife or fend off wounds or fend off injury.
Does that mean that Mr. Alexander was alive at the time that these injuries were inflicted?
I believe he was.
And the defense argued that Jodi did kill Travis, but it was in self-defense. Jodi and Travis were taking photos, and she was being forced into sexual activity by Travis, but Jodi accidentally drops the camera, and this makes Travis very angry. He's furious, and Jodi had to fight for her life because of this. The defense argued that Jodi was a domestic violence victim and that she was only acting in self-defense to save her life because Travis was going to kill her. So it was either her or Travis. You know, self-defense is one fatal blow, like the prosecution was stating. It's not a slit throat that's so deep that it almost takes your head off. It's not 27 stab wounds and a gunshot to the head. You know, it's very excessive, all of that, and there's just no way that that could be self-defense. And the first couple hours of this trial was the defense basically trying to prove that Jodi was mentally unstable, but the prosecution showed that one of the psychiatrists that was working this case was proven not credible because of some of the evidence that he had previously submitted for his other trials. And this psychologist was actually doing this trial for Jodi for free, and he said that he would testify out of the kindness of his heart. They did show the photos from this murder scene, and they are very graphic, so I obviously can't show them here. There's a lot of blood everywhere in the bathroom where Travis was brutally murdered, and Jodi was actually looking away when they were showing these photos. You can see Jodi crying a lot during this trial. She cries basically the entire trial. And when Jodi went to testify, she did admit to killing Travis.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you kill Travis Alexander on June 4th, 2008?
Yes, I did.
Why?
The simple answer is that he attacked me, and I defended myself.
Okay.
She stated that he attacked her and that she killed him in self-defense. And there was actually a clip of Jodi during an interview previously stating that no jury would convict her.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
And she stated that because she was going to actually take her own life. And Jodi claims during her testimony that she was abused by her parents growing up and that they would use belts and wooden spoons to discipline Jodi and her brother. She states that she moved around a lot when she was younger and she had a hard time keeping friendships. Jodi was a saleswoman when she grew up and she did reside in California. Jodi stated during her trial that she was taking photos of Travis and she accidentally dropped his camera, and that made him very angry. So then he picked Jodi up and slammed her on the floor, the tile floor in the bathroom, to be specific. And she stated that Travis started to chase her when she ran away, so she grabbed the gun to protect herself, and the two began to have a physical fight, and Travis lunged at her, and that's when the gun goes off. Jodi stated that she wasn't sure if Travis had even been shot at this point. She claimed that Travis said he was going to kill Jodi, but Jodi says that she had no memory of stabbing him or slitting his throat. She stated that she only remembered being in the bathroom afterwards looking at the horror of what just happened. She said that the reason why she lied about the events was because she was ashamed and Jodi was afraid of the consequences. Jodi states she would have rather went to the grave than admit that she had done such a horrible thing. Although less than 24 hours after she killed Travis, she was with another man kissing him and was seemingly unbothered. This man actually testified against Jodi, and he said that Jodi seemed perfectly fine 24 hours after taking a man's life so brutally, which is very disturbing. Her trial lasted several months, and the sentencing process was very drawn out, and this is because the jury couldn't unanimously come to a decision whether Jodi should receive the death penalty or not. However, they all did agree that Jodi was guilty of first-degree murder on the death of Travis Alexander. And they actually had two juries for Jodi's trial because the first one couldn't come to a decision. So the second jury was also deadlocked, and they couldn't decide whether Jodi should get the death penalty or life in prison. So due to the state of Arizona, the judge had to give Jodi a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Jodi did apologize, and she did show remorse towards the end of her actions.
The court finds the defendant has no prior criminal history. The defendant has family and community support. The defendant has mental health issues. The court has also considered the defendant's childhood background, family history, and her expressed remorse. The court finds the mitigation presented is not sufficiently substantial to call for leniency and that a natural life sentence is appropriate. It is ordered the defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
And Jodi has been in prison for over 10 years now, and she is currently 44 years old, and she will spend the rest of her life incarcerated. I don't think that Jodi told the truth on the stand. I believe that she lied, and I don't think Travis actually attacked Jodi, but that's the story that she went with. We might never know the truth on what actually happened that day when Travis was murdered, but he did get some justice because she was found guilty and will spend the rest of her life in jail because of it. What do you guys think? Do you think that Jodi was actually defending herself against Travis? Do you think that Travis attacked Jodi? Make sure you drop a comment below and let me know. And if you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button and do not forget to subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I hope that I will see you on the next disturbing video.